అందరికీ స్వాగతం. సుందరయ్య విజ్ఞాన కేంద్రం తరఫున ఈరోజు నిర్వహిస్తున్నటువంటి సెమినార్ అంటే వెబినార్ మనం ఆన్లైన్లో నడుపుతున్నాం కనుక ఈ వెబినార్లో మనం చర్చించబోతున్నటువంటి అంశము రైతు వర్సెస్ కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వము, అదేవిధంగా ఎంఎస్పి చట్టం యొక్క ఆవశ్యకత. ఇది చాలా ముఖ్యమైనటువంటి అంశము. ఎందుకంటే ఏడాదికి పైగా రైతులు పంజాబ్, హర్యానా, ఉత్తరప్రదేశ్ ప్రధానంగా ఈ 3 రాష్ట్రాలకు సంబంధించినటువంటి రైతులు ఏడాది పైగా ఢిల్లీలో ఆందోళన చేశారు. ఏవైతే వ్యవసాయ చట్టాలని కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం తీసుకొచ్చిందో రైతులకు ప్రయోజనకరం అంటూ తీసుకొచ్చింది. కానీ ఆ వ్యవసాయ చట్టాలు కేవలం ప్రైవేటీకరణకు తోడ్పడేటువంటి చట్టాలు మాత్రమే. వ్యవసాయ రంగాన్ని కూడా, విద్యారంగాన్ని, వైద్య రంగాన్ని ఎట్లయితే ప్రైవేటీకరించారో అదేవిధంగా వ్యవసాయ రంగాన్ని కూడా ప్రైవేటీకరించే లక్ష్యంతోనే ఆ చట్టాలని తీసుకువచ్చారు. ఆ చట్టాలని రైతులు సరిగ్గానే అర్థం చేసుకున్నారు. దానివల్ల వచ్చేటువంటి సమస్య ఏంటో గమనించారు. అంత గమనించారు కనుకనే వారు చాలా పట్టుదలతో ఎంత నిర్బంధ కాండకు కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం అక్కడ పూనుకున్నా వాళ్ళు చెక్కు చెదరకుండా ఏడాదికి పైగా తమ ఆందోళనని కొనసాగించారు. ఈ నిర్బంధ కాండ అనేటువంటిది గతంలో ఎప్పుడు మనం చూడనంత స్థాయిలో జరిగింది. వాళ్ళ మీద నీటి బిరంగులు ప్రయోగించడం, రోడ్ల మీద చీలలు నాటడం, అంటే ఏమంటాం మనం, మేకులు కొట్టడం, రోడ్ల మీద అటు ఇటు తిరగనివ్వకుండా చేయటం, ఇటువంటి వాళ్ళ సప్లైస్ కట్ చేయడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేయడం, వచ్చి భౌతికంగా దాడులు చేయడం, ఇవన్నీ కూడా చేశారు. అయినా కూడా ఇవేవి చెక్కు చెదరకుండా వాళ్ళ రైతులు తమ పోరాటాన్ని సాగించారు. చివరికి యూపీ ఎలక్షన్లను దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని, ఇంకొన్ని రాష్ట్రాల్లో జరుగుతున్నటువంటి ఎలక్షన్లను దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని ఏదైనా ఆ రైతులకు జడిసి ఆ ఓట్ల మీద దీని ప్రభావం ఉంటుంది అనేటువంటి భయంతో ఈ చట్టాలని కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం ఉపసంహరించుకుంది. చట్టాలని ప్రవేశపెట్టినప్పుడు దాని మీద సమగ్రమైనటువంటి చర్చకు అవకాశం ఇవ్వలేదు. చట్టాలని ఉపసంహరించుకున్నటువంటి సందర్భంగా కూడా ఏ విధమైనటువంటి అవకాశం ఇవ్వకుండా ప్రభుత్వం ఎందుకు తెచ్చింది, ఏ ఉద్దేశంతో ఉపసంహరించుకుంటుంది, అదేవిధంగా ఆ సందర్భంగా కనీస మద్దతు ధర గురించి ప్రభుత్వం ఏమంటుంది అనేటువంటి అంశాలని చర్చకు రానివ్వకుండా కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం హడావిడిగా ఈ బిల్లును, ఆ చట్టాన్ని ఉపసంహరించుకుంది. కానీ ఒక అంశం ఇక్కడ మిగిలే ఉంది, అది మద్దతు ధర. ఆ మద్దతు ధర మీద ఇప్పటికీ ఒక స్పష్టమైనటువంటి ప్రకటన చేయడంతో పాటు ఒక చట్టాన్ని రూపొందించి పార్లమెంట్ ముందు ఉంచాలి అనేటువంటిది రైతు సంఘాలన్నీ దేశవ్యాప్తంగా కోరుతున్నాయి. కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం ఆ విషయంలో ఏవి సమాధానం ఇవ్వటం లేదు. అధికారికంగా దానికి సమాధానం ఇవ్వట్లేదు. కొన్ని సందర్భాల్లో తెస్తాము అని చెప్తున్నారు, కానీ ఏ పద్ధతుల్లో తెస్తారు? స్వామినాథన్ చెప్పినటువంటి ప్రకారము పండిన పంట ఖర్చుకు ఇంకొక 50% వేసుకొని తెస్తారా, ఎట్లా తెస్తారు అనేటువంటిది కూడా ఏమి స్పష్టత అనేది లేదు. కనుక చాలా రైతు సంఘాలు కోరుతున్నది ఏంటంటే వరికి, గోధుమతో పాటు మిగతా పంటలకు కూడా కనీస మద్దతు ధర వేయాలి. తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్రంలో కూడా మనం చూస్తున్నాము, యాసంగిలో వరి వేయద్దంటున్నారు. వరి వేయకపోతే ఏ పంట వేయాలి, ఎంత విస్తీర్ణంలో వేయాలి, దానికి మార్కెట్ గ్యారెంటీ ఏమిటి, దానికి కనీస మద్దతు ధర ఏమిటి అనేటువంటి విషయాల్ని తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వం కూడా నిర్ధారించి చెప్పటం లేదు. ఇది వ్యవసాయ రంగాన్ని పూర్తిగా ప్రైవేట్ సంస్థల చేతుల్లో పెట్టేటువంటి విధంగానే ఇవన్నీ జరుగుతున్నాయి. రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వం, టిఆర్ఎస్ పార్టీ కూడా వీటి మీద కనీస మద్దతు ధర ప్రకటించాలి, వరిని కొనాలి అనేటువంటి దాని మీద ధర్నాలు అవి చేస్తున్నప్పటికీ సీరియస్గా మొత్తం ప్రజల్ని ఇన్వాల్వ్ చేసేటువంటి పద్ధతుల్లో లేదు. అదేవిధంగా కేంద్రంలో చర్చల కోసం ఆ మంత్రితో మాట్లాడడానికి కేవలం అధికార పార్టీకి సంబంధించినటువంటి ఎంపీలు, మంత్రులు వీళ్ళంతా వెళ్ళారు తప్ప అఖిల పక్షాన్ని తీసుకువెళ్ళాలి అనేటువంటి డిమాండ్ను ఆయన కేసీఆర్ పట్టించుకోలేదు. మరి దీన్ని బట్టి ఎలా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలో అనేటువంటిది ప్రేక్షకులే నిర్ణయించుకోవాలి, ప్రజలే నిర్ణయించుకోవాలి అనేటువంటిది మనకు కనపడతాం. సో ఏమైనా ఇది ఒక ముఖ్యమైనటువంటి విషయం. దీని పూర్వాపరాలు చాలా తెలియాల్సినటువంటి ఉంది. కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం ఎందుకు ఇట్లా చేస్తుంది, దాని ప్రధాన ఉద్దేశం ఏమిటి, ఈ ఎంఎస్పి చట్టం ఒకదాన్ని ముసాయిదా బిల్లును రూపొందించారు. ఆ ముసాయిదా బిల్లులో ఉన్నటువంటి అంశాలు ఏమిటి, దానివల్ల కలిగేటువంటి రైతులకు కలిగేటువంటి ఉపయోగాలు ఏమిటి, ఎటువంటి గ్యారంటీలు లభిస్తాయి రైతులకు అనేటువంటి అంశాన్ని చర్చించడానికే ఈ వెబినార్ను ఏర్పాటు చేశాము. ఈ రైతు ఉద్యమంలో చురుగ్గా పాల్గొన్నటువంటి ఏడాది కాలం పాటు వారికి వెన్నంటి ఉండి వారికి అవసరమైనటువంటి సహాయ సహకారాలు అందజేస్తూ, అదేవిధంగా దేశవ్యాప్తంగా ఈ అంశం మీద క్యాంపెయిన్ నిర్వహించినటువంటి ఆల్ ఇండియా కిసాన్ సభ ప్రధాన కార్యదర్శి డాక్టర్ అశోక్ ధావ్లే గారు ఈ వెబినార్లో మాట్లాడతారు. ఆ తర్వాత మీరు ఈ లోపలనే మీ ప్రశ్నల్ని ఫేస్బుక్ పేజ్ మీద చూస్తున్నటువంటి వాళ్ళు కామెంట్ సెక్షన్లో మీ ప్రశ్నల్ని నమోదు చేయవచ్చు. ఆ తర్వాత వారు ప్రశ్నలకు సమాధానం చెప్తారు. ఒక 45 నిమిషాల నుంచి గంట పాటు వారు మాట్లాడతారు. ఆ తర్వాత వారి ప్రశ్నలకు మీ ప్రశ్నలకు వారు సమాధానం కూడా చెప్తారు. నౌ ఐ రిక్వెస్ట్ కామ్రేడ్ అశోక్ ధావ్లే, General Secretary of All India Kisan Sabha, to speak on.
Good evening, all my comrades and friends who are listening to this lecture. First of all, I would thank the Sundaraiya Vijnan Kendram for having organized this talk on a very, very topical and a very important issue in today's India. The subject, farmers versus center, need for an MSP law. All of us have the highest respect for Comrade P. Sundaraiya, after whom the Sundaraiya Vijnan Kendram had aimed. He was one of the most outstanding farmer leaders in India, the leader of the Telangana people's struggle, which we in annals of farmers' struggles over India. Begin by paying my respectful homage to P. Sundaraiya, and I begin my talk on the topic farmers versus center, need for an MSP law. Comrades and friends, as we know, all of us are very enthusiastic today with the historic victory won by the farmers of India in a struggle which was truly unprecedented, and a struggle for more than 1 year has never been seen in the last 75 years of independent India. This struggle by the farmers under the leadership united more than 500 different organizations, which had all come together under the platform of the Sanyukta Kisan Morcha. This had a tremendous victory over the forces of corporate communalism represented by the BJP RSS-led government headed by Mr. Narendra Modi. It also scored a very big victory over the corporate lobby, both in India and abroad, symbolized by the Ambanis and the Adanis and many other corporates, which included multinational corporations. This was also, in a very, very real sense, a victory of the farmers over imperialism, because it was also imperialism, which was dictating to the Modi government that these 3 farm laws must be brought. And therefore, today we are meeting after this tremendous victory. We had the victory day on the 11th of December, just about 12 days ago. And I would take this opportunity to congratulate the farmers all over India, the workers all over India, the agricultural workers, women, youth, and students all over the country for the wholehearted support that they gave to this historic farmer struggle for the last 1 year and more. We are also very proud that the farmers and the workers of Telangana and Andhra, they also played a very, very important role in strengthening this struggle in their own states and also at the Delhi borders. So this struggle, I think, was the struggle again, farmers versus center, but that was concentrated on the 3 farm laws, which were not only anti-farmer, they were totally anti-people, and they were totally pro-corporate. So therefore, this victory is in a way a victory against the forces of neoliberalism. That is the very big significance of the victory of this farmer struggle. I will only say very briefly what is the significance of this victory first, and then we will come to the issue so far as agriculture is concerned. This of the laws should understand that what did the Modi government achieve through these farms? First of all, these laws were actually a follow-up measure to the Shanta Kumar committee appointed by the government in 2015. Is leaders of Himachal and it gave all. Number 1, MSP done up. Number 2, government procurement must stop gradually. Yes. So I was telling that actually these 3 farm laws were a continuation of the Shanta Kumar committee that was appointed by the Modi government 2015. It gave its recommendations, which were extremely shocking. The recommendations included: 1, that the MP system must be wound up. 2nd, that the government procurement of food grains should slowly and gradually be wound up. If the government procurement of food grains, which as we know takes place especially in Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, once that is stopped, then the food stocks in the godowns of the Food Corporation of India will also stop, and then the end result of all this, which the Shanta Kumar committee envisaged, was that the entire public distribution system in India, which we call the ration system, that also they wanted to do away with. And all this agricultural trade, they wanted to give it to foreign and Indian corporates. That was the entire direction of the Shanta Kumar committee report. As of us know, Mr. Shanta Kumar was a leader of the BJP. from Himachal Pradesh, and he was leading that committee. Now, after this, these three laws were exactly in the same direction. They aim to end the agricultural produce market committees, the APMs or the mandis as we call them. They aim to finish off the MS regime. They also aimed to stop government procurement gradually, give the entire agriculture trade in the hands of the corporates, and eventually destroy the entire public distribution system in India. And that is why the farmers' struggle, the Sanyukta Kisan Morcha, the All India Kisan Sabha, from day one, he had said that these three farm laws of the central government are not only anti-farmer, but they are also anti-people, anti-national, and completely pro-corporate, their entire object. And that is why this huge one-year-old struggle was led by the farmers of India, unitedly under the Sanyukta Kisan Morcha of more than 500 organizations, which remained united for more than 1 year. One other characteristic of this was that this struggle included almost all sections of the peasantry of India. It included the poor peasants, agricultural workers, middle peasants, also sections of rich peasants who felt threatened by these laws. They also came, and therefore we had a tremendous unity of all peasantry of India against the corporate lobby and against the BJP RSS central government, which were both in league. This was one very important thing. Another very important characteristic was that the whole working class, led by the central trade unions, which included ITU, ITUC, INTUC, and many others, they completely supported this agitation throughout this 1 year. There was tremendous solidarity from the trade unions. In fact, this struggle began as a worker-peasant united struggle on the 26th of November 2020, when the Delhi Chalo was given by the SKM, and on the same day, the central trade unions gave call for an all-India general strike of the working class on the same day, 26 November, which also happens to be the Constitution Day of India. It was the day in 1959 when the Constitution of India, which one of the architects was Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, that was passed by the Constituent Assembly. So for this is another thing. This braved tremendous repression from the government. All that is known. And the latest case of repression was, of course, the Lakhimpur massacre in Uttar Pradesh, when Union Minister for Home, Ajay Mishra, his son, and his other BJP hoodlums, they actually ran their cars over farmer journalists. 4 farmers were killed. They martyred. A journalist was martyred. Such a thing had never been seen in the last 75 years of Indian independence. But the most shameful thing is this, that in spite of that, in spite of the special investigation team very recently saying that this was a pre-planned murder, it was a conspiracy, it was not an accident. In spite of all this, for the last 2.5 months, the Modi government is shameless enough to retain Ajay Mishra to the Council of Ministers. This is utterly shameful. So this repression it faced, This farmer struggle faced tremendous defamation from the BJP RS, their friends in the Godi media, and there was no charge that was not made against the struggle. They were accused of being Maoists, Naxalites, and national, etc. And therefore, despite all this, the farmers' agitation fought back, and all these defamatory insinuations were fought back with tremendous bravery. This farmers' struggle combat even corona, which was one of the most deadly diseases that has struck India and the world. And even during the second wave, which was extremely deadly in May 2021, the farmers' struggle did not back down. Continued at Delhi borders even during the second wave. Now, another very important characteristic of this was that for the last 1 year, it was an entirely peaceful struggle. It believed in non-violence, and that was one of the major reasons why it ended victory. We did not want to get into the hands of the BJP RSS government, and therefore we kept it continuously peaceful in spite of all provocations. One very important reason the struggle could end in victory. Another major reason for it to end in victory was it was an entirely all-encompassing and a secular struggle. Farmers came from all religions. We had Sikh farmers from Punjab. We had Hindu farmers from Haryana, Uttar Pradesh. We had Muslim farmers from Uttar Pradesh and many other places. We even had Buddhist farmers, Christians. No religion was left out. The farmers came from all castes in India. They were speaking all languages because this struggle, although it was concentrated on the Delhi borders, the struggle was a pan-Indian struggle. All over India, this struggle, right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from Gujarat to Guwahati, this struggle continued, and therefore this all-encompassing secular struggle was one of the main reasons why the central government could not crush it. There were thousands of women, and we must take special note of this. Thousands of women came to the Delhi borders, stayed there for more than a year. One of them was the niece of Shahid Bhagat Singh, who was there at the Delhi border throughout this struggle, and many other women, thousands of them. There were thousands of youth, young farmers who also took part in the struggle. Not only at the Delhi borders, women and youth were a part of this struggle all over India. And last 2 points, and then we will come to the MSP issue. This struggle was, as I said, targeted the BJP-SS communal and authoritarian tyrannical government and its alliance with the corporate lobby, both foreign and Indian. Its alliance with imperialism, as I said before, and this corporate lobby was actually represented very forcefully by the two biggest crony corporates of the Modi government, the Ambanis and Adanis. And therefore, all the demands of the farmers' struggle were actually targeted against the neoliberal policies the BJP government has been speeding up in the last 7 years. The final point, and this was that this struggle started having a political impact also all over the country. For example, in the state assembly elections of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Assam, which took place in March and April 2021, the Sanyukta Kisan Morcha had given a call in all these 4 states to defeat the BJP. And along with the local situation in those states where the opposition fought, this objective of the farmers of India was achieved in 3 out of the 4 states. In Kerala, as we know, the LDF government came to power for the second time. For the first time, any government has come to power consecutively in the last 44 years of Kerala history. The BJP, which had 1 member of the Legislative Assembly last time, was made down to 0. Its vote percentage also fell. In Tamil Nadu, the BJP had an alliance with the AIADMK. That was also trounced, and the DMK-led alliance, which included the left, that won in Tamil Nadu. In West Bengal, the BJP was defeated. It is another matter that another tyrannical regime of the Mamata TMC came to power because there was a very deep polarization between the two. In Assam, BJP could win by a margin of only 0.75% of the total votes in Assam. So there also they had practically lost. They just won by the skin of their teeth. So this political impact. Apart from this, earlier this year, the BJP lost very badly in the municipal elections in Punjab and in the Panchayat elections in Uttar Pradesh. In both these states were the epicenters of the farmer struggle. The BJP lost very badly. In Punjab, the Nagarpalika elections were held in February, and in Uttar Pradesh, the 3-tier Panchayat elections were held in the month of April 2021. And finally, in November, December of this year, we had that whole round of by-elections to Parliament and Assembly. And in those elections also, the BJP lost 3 very important states, centers of the farmers' struggle: Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, and Rajasthan. All seats that they contested, in all these 3 states, they lost. So this farmer struggle was begun to have a big political impact. We had already given a call, the Sanyukta Kisan Morcha, in its 10 lakh strong Muzaffarnagar rally on the 5th of September as part of the Mission Uttar Pradesh and Mission Uttarakhand to defeat the BJP in UP and Uttarakhand very much soundly. That was the campaign going on. In Lucknow, we had another big Mahapanchayat. In many other areas of UP, these Mahapanchayats were held. Also in Uttarakhand, also in Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, all these places in different areas. This mobilized lakhs of farmers and workers and agricultural laborers. So, comrades, as a result of this 1 year historic struggle, a historic victory has been won. Farmers were sent round 1 of the 3 farm laws. They had to be repealed, and that victory has gone to the farmers in the battle of farmers versus center. Now we are in the battle number 2, as I have written many places. One historic battle has been won, but the war remains, and this war will continue with even greater force with the inspiration gained by this first victory. What is this battle number 2? And that we come to the topic for today: need for an MSP law. Friends and comrades, first of all, we should understand the agrarian crisis in India, which is of very, very serious proportions. The figures given by the National Crime Records Bureau, NCRB, which is an official government body under Union Home Ministry of the Government of India, every year releases statistics of the number of crimes that take place in India state-wise. One of the crimes, as all of us know, suicide is also a crime. The NCRB figure for suicide among farmers from 1995 up to 2020, the total number crosses 4 lakh farmers. This is an unprecedented phenomenon. It was never there before the neoliberal policies in agriculture began in 1991. Farmer suicides began after 1991 in such a way. And the main reason for suicides is, of course, the indebtedness of the farmers. Why is this indebtedness? This indebtedness is basically due to 3 or 4 important reasons, which we should understand. And that will also make us understand the need for an MSP law, which is the main subject of today's talk. What is the situation? Why is this indebtedness? Number one, the reason, the cost of production is rising very sharply as a result of these neoliberal policies. All the prices of seeds, fertilizers, insecticides, diesel, petrol, etc., irrigation, power, everything has been rising for the last several years. And therefore, the cost of production is rising tremendously all over India. Every farmer knows this. Every farmer knows this, that the cost of production is rising astronomically. I was told by some researchers that the price of pesticide in Karnal, that is Haryana, Green Revolution area, there the price of pesticide has increased by 800 times in the last few years. The fertilizer price has increased by nearly 300 times in many parts of India. So therefore, we have this situation where the cost of production has steadily and sharply risen. The price that the farmer gets for his agricultural produce has not at all risen in the same proportion. And that is the fundamental reason for the debt trap into which farmers have fallen. Lakhs and lakhs of farmers have fallen into the debt trap. This we should realize. This is another thing. Thirdly, we should see that, for example, in India, especially as a result of the climate change, this is having a disastrous impact on farmers and on agriculture. We have unseasonal rains, we have floods, we have drought, we have hailstorms, and with all this, we have a situation where the farmer's crop is totally destroyed, either by drought or by flood or by unseasonal rains or by hailstorms. And the Prime Minister Fasal Bima Yojana, that is insurance scheme, not at all. It has become farce. It is helping only corporate companies to amass profits. Farmers are getting no compensation by and large, and all the profits are going to the insurance companies, again Reliance, that is Ambani, Adani and others. So that's another reason for the Indian crisis. And credit. Credit is also, in the last several years of neoliberal policies, has been going to the and very much to the farmers. Especially the poor and the farmers are getting it from the banks, from the cooperative societies, and are having to forego to the private money lenders who charge interest which is ranging from 60% per annum to even in some places 120% per annum. This is another source of the debt trap in which farmers have fallen. Therefore, we have this situation as a result of all these factors. We have been continuously demanding, and that was the second very cardinal demand of the Sanyukta Kisan farmers struggle. First one, repeal the 3 farm laws. Second was that the center should make a central law to guarantee minimum supply price for all agricultural use at the rate of 1.5 the comprehensive cost of production. Now, who gave this idea in the beginning? The credit for this must go to the National Commission on Forests, which was headed by one of the most renowned agricultural scientists of India, and his name is Dr. M. S. Swaminathan. In 5 volumes of reports of the National Commission on Farmers, which were presented before Parliament to the recommendations of the Swaminathan Commission was be controlled, then farmers must get MSP guarantee, which is 1.5 times the comprehensive cost of production, 30%. C means comprehensive cost of production. Whatever the farmer incurs, that is one thing. And above this, the farmer must get 50% over and above the comprehensive cost of production. Now, when the most renowned agricultural scientist in the country makes this recommendation, the governments should have immediately gone about preparing for actually implementing that recommendation. No government did it. From 2006, we are coming to the end of 2021. For the last 15 years, there has not been even one discussion on the Swaminathan Commission report Parliament, let alone implementing the recommendations of that. So therefore, this is a very important thing. That is the source. That is the fundamental basis on which the farmers of India are demanding that this C2 plus 3% MSP law, the central government must act. Comrades and friends, I was telling you about the Swaminathan Commission recommendation of giving an MSP guarantee at 1.5 times the comprehensive cost of production. Now we will go a little ahead. The need for MSP also I have said earlier. But what were the developments? So I was just telling about the commission rotation, the need of MSP that we have covered. Now we will go ahead. You see, after Modi regime came to power, there have been a number of struggles of peasantry over India, and these struggles have actually succeeded in putting the Modi government on the defensive. In fact, this farmer struggle from 2020-21, this historic farmer struggle, can be said to be the culmination of all the earlier struggles of the last 7 years. I will just take 2 or 3 minutes to just mention them, because many times it is felt that this farmer struggle, which has just been suspended, it came up on its own, spontaneously as it were. This is the correct assessment at all. Actually, the farmer struggles began immediately after the Modi government came to power. In 2015, the Modi government brought in a land acquisition amendment ordinance, which sought to make very, very disastrous amendments in the land acquisition of 2013. All these amendments were meant against farmers and to give the land to the corporate lobby. Against this, the All India Kisan Sabha took the lead, brought many other farmer organizations together, and we formed a platform which is called the Bhumi Adhikar. Now this thing, all over the country, there were big demonstrations against the land acquisition amendment ordinance. And as a result, after renewing the ordinance for 3 times, the Modi government finally had to withdraw the land acquisition amendment ordinance in 2015. That was the first victory of the farmers of India against the Modi regime of the BPRSS. Now the second victory which we have achieved now, it is the second victory. First in 2015, we made the Modi government go back and withdraw the land acquisition amendment ordinance. After that, it was the government and the BJP in their election manifesto 2014 had openly said in black and white, if we come to power, we shall implement the Swaminathan Commission recommendation for giving MSP at a C2 plus 50%, 1.5 times the cost of production. Mr. Narendra Modi had given the same promise in more than 400 public meetings all over the country in 2014. But what did they do? Within less than 1 year of coming to power, it was this same Modi government which filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court of India, where it said that although we have given this assurance, giving a minimum support price at 1.5 times the cost of production is not practicable because, and these are the quotations which they gave, it will distort the market. This was an affidavit given by the same BJP government which had given promise to implement the Swaminathan Commission recommendation in February 2015. Shamelessly, this same government gives an affidavit to the Supreme Court saying we cannot implement what we have promised. So this point must be noted very carefully. After this, lot of struggles took place in different parts of the country on 2 major issues. One was the MSP guarantee, about we have been talking. The other one was loan waiver for the peasantry. Because these loans were leading to farmer suicides, they were leading alienation from land. That is also another very important point, which is very often not taken into consideration. Farmer suicides become news, and they rightly so, they should become news. But those who don't commit suicide, as a result of the debt, they are forced to sell off the land and become totally penniless and join the ranks of the less agricultural workers. Lakhs of farmers have had to do this in the last few years, also must be understood. So therefore, these struggles took place. 3-4 struggles we will just say in 2 or 3 minutes, and then we will come to the All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee, a very, very excellent bill for MSP, which they had proposed, which was tabled in Parliament as private members' bill, that come to very shortly. But before that, in Rajasthan, the All India Kisan Sabha led a huge struggle. It was a tremendous struggle of farmers demanding a loan waiver, demanding MSP, demanding increase in pensions to the poor farmers and agricultural workers of Rajasthan. And that struggle was tremendously successful. It was against the BJP state government led by Vasundhara Raje. And after a big struggle, the All India Kisan Sabha and the farmers won that struggle. 50,000 rupees of loan of all the farmers, that loan waiver, the BJP state government had to give. Some slight increase in MSP they had to give. Increase in pensions they had to agree to. So this was one major struggle in Rajasthan, which was independently led by the All India Kisan Sabha. The other two very important struggles took place in Maharashtra. One was the first strike of June 2017. From 1st to 11th June, farmers went on strike. We have heard about worker strikes. We have heard about student strikes. We have heard about doctor strikes, employees strikes. We just had a very excellent bank employees strike 2 days against the privatization of banks, which the Modi government wanted to do. All this we have heard. But a farmer strike was very little heard of until then. 11 days, farmers in Maharashtra refused to get their milk, vegetables and fruits to markets of the cities. For 11 days, 1st to 11 June 2017. This was something fantastic. Of course, the farmers made huge losses because they could not get their milk, vegetable, fruits and all that. But as our freedom struggle has shown, if you want to gain something, you also have to lose something. Otherwise, you cannot gain. Even this farmers' struggle has led to 715 martyrs. We have lost 715 farmers on the Delhi borders and also in Lakhimpur Kheri, who have been martyrs of this struggle. So therefore, this strike, as a result of this 11-day strike, the Fadnavis BJP government in Maharashtra had to sanction a loan waiver package of 32,000 crore rupees to the farmers of Maharashtra, and loan worth 2 lakh rupees, up to 2 lakh rupees, thousands of farmers, they had to agree to make that loan waiver. In this farmer strike, it was a joint strike by several farmers organizations, but the All India Kisan Sabha was very much in the lead of this strike. The convener of the coordination committee was the General Secretary of the Maharashtra Rajya Kisan Sabha, Comrade Ajit Navle. We are very proud of this, that he was the convener of the entire Joint Action Committee, which led this strike, and he was the secretary of the Kisan Sabha. The low package is not being properly implemented, and along with that, issues came up. The MSP issue, of course, was there. The Forest Rights Act implementation, the tribal farmers not getting their land pattas, which had been promised by the Forest Rights Act, which itself the UPA 1 government had to enact as a result of the pressure by the left members of parliament and by the left parties. These were the two very important pieces of legislation. The farmers and the Forest Rights Act, the Manrega Act, significant pieces of legislation which could take place in 2016, in 2006, 5 and 6 as a result of the pressure of the left parties. So that issue, and on that in March 2008, as all of you know, All India Kisan Sabha led that historic Kisan Long March of more than 50,000 farmers from Nasik to Mumbai for 7 days from the 6th of March to the 12th of March. And as a result of March, which was very widely publicized all over the country, and in fact all over the world also, the Devendra Fadnavis government of the BJP had to have a 3-hour discussion with the All India Kisan Sabha, which was independently leading that march, and they had to give in writing all the 8 or 10 demands that place in writing before the legislature, the council. This is another big struggle. Along with this struggle, in June 2015, in Madhya Pradesh, the BJP Madhya Pradesh state government fired on farmers who were struggling for loan waiver and MSP. And 6 farmers were killed. They were martyred. And after that, several organizations in the country, farmer organizations, came together, in which India also played a very major role, and they formed All India Kisan Sangharsh Committee, AIKSCC. Now, this is a very important body, and it is in a way a precursor to the Sanyukta Kisan Morcha. That also must be understood. The AIKSCC held a number of agitations, campaigns all over the country. In November 2017, they held a Kisan Sansad on Parliament Street in New Delhi. They had Kisan Sansad also, and it was decided that one bill will be an guarantee bill. The second bill will be a freedom from indebted bill. These were the 2 bills. It was decided that we will go ahead and form these 2 bills, which will be placed before. In the next few, very large section, we went all over the country. We held a Janasoi, and as a result of this, many farmers, thousands of farmers, we met. Agricultural economists we met. Legal brains who were sympathetic to the farmers' struggle, we met all of them. And as a result of it, 2 very, very important and cardinal bills were prepared collectively by the India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee, of which, as I said earlier, the All India Kisan Sabha formed a very important part. Which were these 2 bills? These 2 bills were placed in the Rajya Sabha as private members' bills by Comrade K.K. Ragesh, who was a CPIM member of the Rajya Sabha, elected from Kerala, and he is also the All India Joint Secretary of the All India Kisan Sabha. He placed bills in the Rajya Sabha. Mr. Raju Shetty of the Swabhimani Shetkari Sangatna, a Lok Sabha member from there, from Maharashtra, placed the bills as private bills in Lok Sabha. What were the names of these bills? The 2 bills were, the first bill, the farmers' right to guaranteed relative minimum support price for agricultural commodities bill 2018. This was the first bill. I am repeating. This is a very important bill. The farmers' right to guarantee remunerative minimum support price for agricultural commodities bill 2018. That is the first bill. The second bill This bill is of 31 pages. It is like an official bill of parliament. Lot of have gone in taking this by consulting several experts, agricultural economists, and all farmers themselves. The second bill, 30-page bill, is called the Farmers' Freedom from Indebtedness Bill 2018. Again, I'm repeating, the Farmers' Freedom from Indebtedness Bill 2018. These were the two bills that on behalf of the AIKC, Comrade KK Ragesh and Mr. Raju Shetty placed as private members' bills before the parliament. Now, for both these bills, we also called a convention of all the opposition political parties in India. AIKCC convened that convention, in which I want to especially say this, 21 opposition political parties, they signed that yes, we support bills. Now they of course include all the left parties, CPI, ML, Liberation, RSP, Forward Bloc, all these have supported, signed on that paper where they are saying that yes, we support that bill. The Congress has supported the bill. The NCP has supported Samajwadi Party, BSP, Rashtriya Lok Dal, the RJD, also DMK. I'm not sure what are Congress and Telugu Desam or TRS. I'm not sure, but some of them must have also signed. But we will confirm. But many of these parties, 21 different parties, said that yes, these bills are correct. And if we can, we will definitely, if we come to power, we will do that. Now, whether they do it or not is a different matter. But the important point is that their leaders sit there supporting both AI. Now, let me just go very briefly into this MSP bill. Let us call it in short MSP bill. I will circulate this to Comrade Vinay Kumar and Comrade Viraya. They can put it up on all your thing. Both these bills I will circulate. So whoever is interested, certainly you can go through both these bills. They're extremely excellently drafted, wonderfully. I will just do on the MSP guarantee bill, the various chapters. It's a big bill, 31 pages. We cannot go into all the details. There is time for that. But let us go into the chapter, the title of the chapter, so that you will understand what this bill is all about. Chapter number 1, preliminary definitions and interpretations. That is there in any bill that comes before Parliament. Chapter 2, guaranteed remunerative minimum prices for all agricultural commodities. Then there are various subsections. I'm not going into that. Take a lot of time. Chapter 3, which will decide the MP guarantee. That third chapter is about this, and that is called Central Farmers Agricultural Costs and Remunerative Price Guarantee Commission. This is the commission which is called in short the Central Commission. Again, I'm repeating, Central Farmers Agricultural Costs and Remunerative Price Guarantee Commission. How that commission function? What will be the various the composition of it? Powers and the functions, transparent functioning, accounts, all these we have taken into account. Chapter 4, State Farmers Agricultural Costs and Remunerative Price Guarantee Commission. The same as chapter 3, but we are envisaging that similar commissions are formed at every state level also. So chapter 3 is about the central commission. Chapter 4 is about the state commissions, which also we say must be formed. Chapter 5, very important, implementation of guaranteed remunerative minimum support prices. How will we implement? So that sections are there where we have said that implementation of guaranteed remunerative minimum support prices. So all those sections are there. Chapter 6, again very important, offenses, penalties and compensation. What does this mean? If anybody buys agricultural produce at less than MSP, at an MSP, then what are the offenses, what will be penalties, and what will be compensation that is due to the farmer who is cheated in manner. This is chapter number 6. Chapter number 7, obligations of central and state governments. So, what are the financial obligations of central and state governments? I'm just reading out those two lines. Obligation of central government to reserve, provide and spend adequate funds. Obligation of state governments to reserve, provide and spend adequate funds. That is a very important section in that bill. And the last chapter, number 8, is miscellaneous provisions. So, friend comrades, you will understand this, that the AIKSCC did a very, very thorough job of making this MSP bill. This MSP bill, although it was placed in Parliament both in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, naturally the BJP government did nothing to see that these bills will actually come to Parliament. Naturally, they have wanted such a thing to happen. When they say that we don't have money to give MSP, these three, four, I'm just saying, how can MSP give? First thing that the central government says, it said in the affidavit also to the Supreme Court that it will distort market price, financial obligations we don't have, etc. So therefore, one important point that should be noted, they say we don't have money to give a loan waiver to lakhs of farmers in India. They say we have no money to give MSP guarantee at 1.5 times the production. What is the reality? The reality, friends and comrades, is this, that in the last 7 years of the Modi government, the latest figures we have got, 10.75 lakh crore rupees. I am again repeating this figure, 10.72 lakh crore rupees have been given by the Modi government as loan waiver to a handful of crony corporates only in the last 7 years of its rule. Means you can imagine nearly 11 lakh crore rupees to the Ambanis, to the Adanis, and to all the other crony corporates of Modi, who then help them, totally funding them in the elections, Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabha. That is the criminal conspiracy. That is the corrupt conspiracy between the BJP, RSS, and all these corporate houses. You give us loan waiver, you give us tax concessions, lakhs and crore rupees. Upon this loan waiver of 11 lakh crore rupees, lakhs crores of rupees has been given to these corporates by the Modi government in the last 7 years in every union budget as tax concessions. So that comes to easily about 25 lakh crore rupees, including the loan waiver and the tax concessions and many other kind of benefits that are given the corporates. Now in 25 lakh crores, it is our contention, is the All India Kisan Sabha contention, that you can both the things. You can do MSP guarantee at 1.5 times the production, and you can effect a loan waiver for all the one-time loan waiver for all the farmers of India. And friends and comrades, let me say this: if these steps are taken, loan waiver one time and same time, then it will mean that much of the agrarian crisis, most of the farmer suicides due to wretchedness, most of the land alienation that the farmers have been subjected to, all this can be brought to a full stop. So therefore, this is the way forward. Another important point which I would like to say, there is a very important catch in this, which all of us understand, that the C2, that is the cost of production, also needs to be brought down. If MSP is to be given at 50% above the cost of production, it is also very important that the cost of production itself for all the crops be brought down. What does that mean? Today, with the neoliberal policies, all the corporate houses, including multinational corporations and Indian corporate houses, have got control over the production of seeds, fertilizers, pesticides. Tremendous, they are now controlling all these markets, and they're doing tremendous profiteering, super profits. I said just now, pesticides in Karnal in Haryana, they have grown in the last 3 or 4 years 800 times. Today, all over India, there is a fertilizer shortage, which I'm sure all of us are of. DAP fertilizer, urea, all other types. There we have a situation where there is tremendous shortage, tremendous price, tremendous black market of fertilizers is going on all over India, including Telangana and Andhra and every state. So this way the cost is rising. Diesel and petrol, Modi government, as we know, has done tremendous tax hikes, and as a result, petrol and diesel had gone over 100 rupees. Now, because of the election results, they have brought it slightly lower. But even now, more than 60% of what we pay for petrol and diesel per liter is central and state government tax, mostly central government taxes. So all this has led to the cost of production rising exponentially. First thing that needs to be done, the corporates need to be controlled. Therefore, profiteering needs to be controlled, and the price of seed, fertilizer, insecticides, diesel, petrol, electricity, irrigation, all this needs to be brought down. What is the government doing on the other hand? The electricity amendment bill, which is there before Parliament, which was the third demand of the SKM, that withdraw that bill, because that electricity amendment bill also aims at privatization, aims at ending all cross subsidies. Farmers' electricity rates for motor pumps grow tremendously. But not only that, domestic electricity rates will also rise tremendously, both in the urban and rural areas. Yours and my house also, the electricity tariff will rise 7 to 8 times. And because all these Ambanis, Adanis, Tatas and others will be actually masters of it already, that has started, but this electricity amendment bill will take it much further. So this has to be totally stopped. Electricity amendment bill must be withdrawn, and all these multinationals, Indian corporates who are now very much into the agricultural input business, they have to be very strictly controlled. The public sector has to be strengthened, both in fertilizers, in pesticides, in seeds. The public sector needs to be very, very vastly strengthened. This also is one of the important points that must be heard. Another way in which MSP can be guaranteed, the All India Kisan Sabha a few months ago took a press conference in New Delhi. And all of us, Comrade Hanan Mullah was there, Comrade Vishnan was there, Comrade Krishna Prasad, Comrade N.K. Shukla, all of us in the center, we were there. And one important point that we raised over there, how can MSP be guaranteed? It can be guaranteed provided some provision is made that whatever the agro processing that happens, and it is these corporates who agro processing, a part of their profits must be plowed back, taken by the government, and that help in making the MSP pool, which can then be given to farmers. So therefore, some part of the super profits that the corporate companies make from farmers, I'll give you an example so you'll understand. Farmers grow potatoes. This Mexico and many other companies, they make potato chips, they make wafers, and they make tremendous profits. Same is for coffee, same is for tea. Now all these things, all these companies, super profits that they make, some part of those super profits be plowed back into a fund which will help actually see your MSP right to funds. This is one very important idea that the All India Kisan Sabha has floated. Third thing about I would like to say, I'm coming to the end of my lecture. Third thing I'm to say, actually, why is the MSP so important? I said in the beginning of my talk, MSP, minimum support price, is given by the declared by the Government of India for Kharif crop and for Rabi crops twice a year. Actually, the reality is that that declaration of MSP has very little meaning for farmers all over the country. Where does it have a meaning? It has a meaning in Punjab. It has a meaning in Haryana. It has a meaning in Western Uttar Pradesh. Why? Because the central government and the Food Corporation of India procures food grains from farmers at the MSP rate that the central government declares. There only there is a meaning. Only in these 3 or 4 states. In Telangana, to some extent, little, but to some extent you have some procurement by the government, but not fully. Even in Punjab, Haryana and UP, which are the 2 crops that are procured? Only paddy and wheat. These are the only 2 crops that are procured even in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP. What about the remaining 21 crops for which MS is declared by the central government? For 23 crops, the central government has MSP. But procurement for only 2 crops, that also in 3 or 4 states, all over the country. Friends and comrades, I will tell a classic example of paddy. Only one example. The paddy MSP today, central government has declared as 1,940 rupees per quintal. It is being got only in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP. In all other states, farmers getting between 1,100 to 1,200 per quintal in the open market when they go to sell it. The APMCs, there they are getting only 1,100 to 1,200. They are losing nearly 700 to 800 rupees per quintal, which is a massive loss. Many of them are not able to recover the cost of production at 1,100 to 1,200. In Bihar, one of the states where the Nitish Kumar and BJP government in 2006 did away with the APMCs. They abolished the APMCs by law. Then the Bihar farmers are getting even less MSP, even less price for their paddy. They are getting only 800 to 900 rupees. A few months ago, I went to Patna for a big SKM rally, and there are said we are getting only 800 to 900 because even APMCs Nitish Kumar and the BJP government has abolished. This is the thing. But in stark contrast, this also I want to say, it is the LD government of Kerala, and all congratulations to them. We are very proud of the LDF government of Kerala. Kerala is the only state in India which is giving 2,850 rupees per quintal for its paddy farmers. I am again repeating, as against the MSP of 1,940, as against 1,100 to 1,200 that farmers are actually getting in most parts of the country for per quintal of paddy. In contrast, 800, 900 rupees, which our Bihar farmers are getting. In stark contrast to this, the LDF government of Kerala for the last several years has been giving 2,850 rupees per quintal to all its paddy farmers by giving an additional bonus of more than 900 rupees over the MSP declared by the central government. Not only that, the LDF government of Kerala a few months ago was the first government in India which also declared MSP for 16 different vegetables and fruits which the farmers of Kerala grow. First government for vegetables and fruits also, 16 vegetables and fruits they were given. Need to be popularized by all of us over the country. So these are some of the important things. MSP is possible. If the Kerala government can do it, why can't the central government do it? But all this, I'm coming to my final point, all this will require a paradigm shift in policies. All this will require that the neoliberal path of development, which is totally pro-corporate, pro-multinational, pro-imperialist, this entire path will be completely done away with. Only then can an MSP law, can a loan waiver, can several other fits. We are seeing the 4 labor codes which are making working class a slave of the corporates. All these issues, the whole privatization drive, the Modi government is now bent on selling off the country. Every sector is being privatized. I've been to Andhra, Vizag Steel, Visakhapatnam, tremendous, glorious struggle being up by 35,000 of our workers, supported by farmers continuously for the last nearly 1 year against the privatization of Vizag Steel. So all these issues are going. National monetization pipeline. The entire country is being put up for sale by the Modi government, which is acting as a shameless dalal, agent of the corporate lobby. All this needs to be stopped. Apart from this, we have also to concentrate on our agricultural workers, which is a very, very crucial section of the peasantry. And for them, increase of the Manarega, extension of increase of to 200 days of work. Today, the average days of work is not 100. Actually, it has come down to 54. All country on an average. We have to get to 200. We have to at least double the wage rate of 200, which the central government has prescribed. That has to be at least doubled for agricultural workers. And finally, the very important point which I'm concluding with. Unless radical land reforms are made all over the country, the agrarian crisis cannot be effectively resolved. These land reforms were actually implemented by the left governments in Kerala, West Bengal, and Tripura. These were the three governments which did a tremendous job of giving land to the tiller, giving land to the landless, and some other government like the Sheikh Abdullah government in Jammu and Kashmir, in Himachal Pradesh partly. So these 4 or 5 states had some kind of land reforms. 3 left-led states had tremendous work so far as reforms is concerned. But today, very unfortunately, the slogan of the independence struggle, land to the tiller, for which Comrade P. Sundaraiah, Comrade M. Basav Punnaya, and all the 4,000 martyrs of our Telangana struggle fought for and they died, this slogan is being changed to land for the corporates. That is what the Modi government is after. That is what the BJP RSS government is after. And this also requires to be fought tooth and nail in the coming days. With these words, I'm sure with the victory of this farmer struggle, which was very historic, I'm sure that will give tremendous inspiration, tremendous strength, and tremendous determination to the farmers and the workers of India, to the agricultural workers of India, to the women, students, and youth of India to continue and strengthen their united struggles against the entire trajectory of neoliberal policy, and most important, to defeat as a first step under any conditions to defeat this BJP RSS government, which has been by far the worst government in India in the last 75 years of Indian independence. And therefore, all our efforts in the coming few months, coming 2 years, have to be geared towards defeating the BJP RSS under any conditions. This has to be the trajectory, political trajectory, which we have to follow. The economic trajectory has, of course, to be reversal of the neoliberal policies and setting in place an alternative set of policies which really will contribute to people's development. With these words, comrades, I thank you very much for having listened patiently. And again, I thank the Sundaraiah Vigyan Kendram for having invited me on behalf of the All India Kisan Sabha. I greet all of you once again. And with these words, I conclude. Thank you very much. Inqilab Zindabad.